5 years ago, on a gray fall afternoon that carried the faint scent of rain and hospital disinfectant. My entire world tilted in a small consultation room on the third floor of the city medical center. I was 24, still numb from the biopsy results that had come just weeks before. The surgeon, a calm woman with wire-rimmed glasses, sat across from me and my parents. She spoke slowly and clearly so we would understand every detail. The tumors in my abdomen were malignant and aggressive. They had already spread to nearby lymph nodes and were growing fast. Surgery was the only real chance to stop them. Without it soon, she said, looking straight at me, I had months, maybe 6 to 12 at the most optimistic. She explained the cost without sugarcoating. The complex operation, weeks in the hospital with possible intensive care, regular follow-up scans, radiation or chemotherapy depending on the results, and medications I would need for years to prevent it from coming back and to manage pain or other side effects. Even with good insurance, the amount left for us to pay would reach well over $100,000. My mother held her purse strap so tightly her knuckles turned white. My father stared at the scuffed linoleum floor like it might give him an answer. The silence in the room felt heavy and endless. Then my father cleared his throat. "We can't afford it," he said. "It would drain our retirement savings completely and destroy the future we've planned for the family." My mother nodded right away, almost relieved that he had said it. There were no tears in their eyes, no offers to sell things or borrow money, no hugs or promises to find a way. Just a cold, practical no. Sitting there between them, I felt something inside me break. I understood clearly that I was no longer part of the family future they were protecting. As we left the room, I fell behind to use the restroom down the hall. Around the corner, I heard their voices, low and private. My father said we could refinance the lake house one more time. Pull out another 100,000 or so. That should cover Ethan's latest shortfall until things improve. My mother agreed without any hesitation. The lake house, their weekend cabin on the quiet lake where they fished at sunrise, grilled dinner at sunset, hosted family barbecues, and made memories, was worth saving. My life, it seemed, was not. That evening at home, everything became clear. My older brother, Ethan, 3 years older than me, had always been the favorite, the golden child. He was charming, confident, and good at convincing people. Over the past year, I had noticed small signs of trouble. Collection letters hidden in drawers, late-night calls from banks, my father coming home exhausted and quiet. Now I learned the reason. Ethan had taken most of their savings and put it into a risky real estate project he promised would make them rich. It failed badly. They kept giving him more money to keep it going, believing it would turn around. They chose to protect him again instead of saving me. I waited until Ethan went upstairs, then asked my mother in the kitchen while she washed dishes. Why him and not me? She turned slowly, her face tired. "You've always been so dramatic," she said. "Maybe this is God's plan. We have to think about the whole family, not just one person." Those words hurt more than the cancer news. I went to my room, locked the door, and spent the night on my laptop. Around 3 in the morning, I found a clinical trial in Minnesota. It was for patients with my exact type and stage of cancer. The treatment was new and experimental with real risks, but it was free if I qualified. The catch: I had to move there right away and handle everything myself. I filled out the application and sent it before sunrise. This was my chance. 2 days later, they wanted a family farewell dinner. They set the table with the good plates and lit candles, but the mood felt fake. They talked softly about how unfair life was and how hard decisions sometimes had to be made. Ethan kept his eyes on his plate and barely spoke. When dessert was finished, I put my napkin down. "I've been accepted into a clinical trial in Minnesota," I said calmly. "I leave in 48 hours. I won't ask any of you for money, help, or anything ever again." My father looked surprised for a second, then shrugged. "You'll understand these things when you're older," he said, like I was still a kid complaining. My mother wiped her eyes, but it didn't feel real. Before the sun came up the next morning, I packed 2 suitcases with clothes, my medical papers, and a quiet stop in my father's office. His desk drawer was unlocked. I photographed bank statements, mortgage refinance papers, Ethan's business loans, and other documents. I saved them to a secure cloud folder linked to an email account they never knew about. I carried my bags downstairs, called a taxi from the corner, and left the house while everyone slept. At the bus station, I boarded the northbound Greyhound. As the city disappeared behind me, I stared at my reflection in the window and promised myself I would survive. The bus ride lasted nearly 20 hours. I thought about everything that had happened and told myself I could do this alone. When I arrived in Minnesota, the trial coordinator met me at the hospital. She was honest, this isn't a sure thing. The side effects can be very bad. If it works, you'll owe your life to good timing as much as the treatment. I smiled a little. Timing is all I have now, I said. The first month felt like endless suffering. Nausea came in waves that wouldn't stop. Weakness made even standing hard. My hair fell out in clumps. I rented a small, plain room near the hospital, just a bed, a tiny kitchen, and bare walls. Every day I walked to treatment carrying a plastic basin in case I got sick on the way. My parents called once, not to ask how I was feeling, but to make sure I sent insurance forms so they wouldn't get any bills. Ethan never called or texted. I deleted their numbers and stopped hoping for anything from them. One evening during an infusion, I heard an older woman in the next chair tell her nurse, "Sometimes surviving changes who you are more than dying ever would." Those words stayed with me. Slowly, the scan started showing good news. The tumors were getting smaller. Not fast, but steadily. Each clear scan felt like proof I could build a new life. Recovery took a full year of checkups and slow healing. In that time, I didn't sit still. I used library computers and hospital Wi-Fi to look up their finances. Public records showed everything. Repeated refinancing on the lake house, tax debts piling up, Ethan's business heading toward bankruptcy. They weren't safe. They were barely holding on. And they had almost let me die to keep the secret. I didn't call or write. I changed my phone number, deleted all social media, and disappeared from their lives completely. When the trial ended successfully, I moved to Chicago for a real fresh start. I found a small studio apartment in a safe area, got a short haircut that felt like a new beginning, and legally changed my last name to Brooks. Short, simple, mine. Inspired by the doctors and nurses who helped me when my family didn't, I enrolled in a healthcare administration program at a university. Classes were hard, but I loved learning about the system that saved me. I worked part-time in medical billing to pay bills. No one knew my story. No one treated me like I was fragile. I graduated with honors. A growing private medical network hired me right away. I started as a coordinator and moved up fast. Soon I was in executive meetings, making decisions that helped thousands of patients. I walked in feeling strong, healthy, and proud. 2 years passed quietly. Then a distant cousin found my LinkedIn and messaged me. Ethan's business had failed completely. Full bankruptcy, lawsuits from investors, everything gone. My parents had lost the lake house to foreclosure and drained their retirement savings trying to save him. I read the court filings online. Strange money transfers caught my eye. Large amounts moved to Ethan's accounts just before bankruptcy. It looked like they hid assets on purpose. That wasn't just bad luck. It could be illegal. 5 years after that hospital day, my assistant knocked on my office door. An older couple is here. They say they're your parents and need to see you. I stayed calm. Send them in. They looked much older, smaller, grayer, tired. My mother reached for my hand. We didn't know where else to go. My father said they were about to lose their current house. Bad investments, legal problems, Ethan disappearing after bankruptcy. Then they asked we need a loan. Not sorry. A loan. I asked why I should give them one. My mother whispered, because we're family. I said I would look at their financial papers. They came back the next day with folders, but I already had most of it from the copies I took years ago. The new documents showed the same thing. Money moved to Ethan before bankruptcy. Hidden assets. I asked my father calmly if they told the court about everything. He swallowed and looked away. I said I would only consider helping if they were completely open. Full access to accounts. Written permission to check everything. They hesitated. My father got tense. I said then I couldn't help. They left looking scared, but soon asked for another meeting. They returned more desperate. My mother said, "We'll give you whatever you need." I handed them a form for a full forensic financial review. My father's hand shook as he signed. They didn't realize they just gave me permission to uncover it all. The investigators' report came 10 days later. It was bad. They deliberately hid money during bankruptcy. If reported, the court could reopen the case. Fines, repayment, maybe criminal charges. I read it slowly. No anger anymore. Just clear understanding. Then Ethan contacted me after 5 years of nothing. He said he heard I was doing well and wanted to fix things. He didn't know about the report. He hinted my parents thought I might help the family. "You were always the smart one," he said. His voice sounded scared. I invited them to a private dinner at a quiet restaurant. Neutral place. I brought printed copies of everything. Transfers, dates, court files. My father tried to speak over me. I raised my hand. "Don't lie to me again." Their story fell apart fast. Ethan said he knew nothing. My mother said she was confused. My father called it temporary. But the papers showed the truth. Their signatures, their dates, their choices. Ethan whispered, "You wouldn't report your own family." I looked at him and stayed quiet. I gave them 2 choices. 1, I report it all. 2, they fix the bankruptcy papers themselves, return the hidden money, and admit what they did publicly. No jail threats, just real results. My mother started crying softly. My father looked completely defeated. They once chose pride over me. Now they had to choose honesty. They agreed to fix it. Word spread through relatives quickly. People asked questions. Their perfect family story started to break. The new filings went public. They admitted wrongdoing. Penalties came, repayments, fees. Ethan sold what little he had left. My parents sold their last house, the one they moved to after losing everything else. My mother came to see me alone weeks later. No excuses. She just said I was wrong. It sounded real, but it couldn't change the past. My father called a few days after. His voice was small. "Can we start over? Be a family again?" 5 years earlier, I begged them to save me. Now they asked for grace. I said, starting over needs complete truth. "Are you ready?" The legal things ended quietly. Debts restructured. Admissions on record. Ethan moved out of state without notice. No big scene, just normal consequences. The old family order, where Ethan was always protected and I was not, was gone forever. Months later, I drove past the old neighborhood. The house they once owned was sold. Fresh paint, new curtains, kids' toys in the yard. I parked and stood outside for a while. No anger rose. No victory rush. Just calm distance, like looking at someone else's life. They didn't lose because I destroyed them. They lost because they built everything on secrets, favorites, and denial. They never thought silence, survival, and time could be stronger than any apology or loan. Today I sit in my office on the 15th floor, sunlight coming through the window, reviewing grant approvals for the Patient Assistance Foundation I co-founded 3 years ago. We help people pay for treatment when insurance isn't enough and families can't or won't help. No one should have to beg the people who are supposed to love them for the chance to live. My phone lights up with a text from my mother. "We're proud of you." I read it and put the phone down without answering. I don't need their pride anymore. The real victory was never about ruining them. It was choosing to live, rebuilding myself one careful step at a time, and proving every day that I could thrive completely without them.